Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade, and tonight we're on the red carpet for the premiere of HBO's newest documentary, Kareem, Minority of One. We'll be bringing you interviews with the legend himself, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, as well as all of the celebrity guests, so get ready for a great night behind the velvet rope. I feel so short right now. One of my all-time favorites, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This is the first documentary that you've ever participated in. Why now? Why tell your story now?
Well, I felt it was time. You know, so many different issues have been part of my life, and people have wondered what I was all about. So I wanted to clear the air, and especially for my kids. You know, I didn't find out who my dad was until very late in his life, and he was gone before I knew it. And I don't want that to happen with my kids. So making an effort here to come clean and make it easy for people to understand me.
You've had one of the great legacies on the court, but also off the court. You were, as an athlete, outspoken, a pioneer on so many levels. What was it like revisiting those legacies?
Well, it was very emotional at times to see different things that I had to deal with, and you know, it's been such a long time. You know, condensing my life down into 90 minutes is
hard, right?
It's very difficult, and I hope we did it the right way.
Deborah, what is this guy like off the court? We all obviously knew Kareem on the court, but what's he like off the court?
You know, it's funny because I met Kareem 21 years ago, and you know, when I met him, I was not a basketball fan. So I didn't know anything about basketball, and he is the most interesting conversationalist I've ever met, and he's funny. And I know people don't really know him like that, but that's how I know him. So when people tell me, Kareem, and I'm like, yeah, that's the Kareem I know. He's funny and he's snarky and he knows about everything, by the way. You can't travel anywhere with Kareem without getting a history lesson.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one of the greatest. Talk to me about his legacy.
His legacy's not done yet. I think in part because he's such an enigmatic, fascinating character. You know, that his involvement post his career, the varying projects, the latest book, I mean, and so he's just probably one of the most fascinating guys to ever play this game.
This documentary, I mean, you know a little bit about this guy, Kareem, right?
You know, I was there in 1984 when he broke the all-time scoring record for the NBA, okay? One of the highlights of my early career. It was, and few people remember, it was a game played in Las Vegas against the Utah Jazz. Oh my. He's a great representative, and he was a spectacular player, and he doesn't get the credit that he deserves as one of the all-time NBA greats, in my view.
I'm a lifelong Lakers fan. I feel the same way, especially now when you look at the league today when centers essentially don't exist anymore. This was the mold of a center.
The quintessential center, but his problem, if he had a problem, was he made it look too easy.
He was pretty tough on the court, wasn't he?
Hey, the good thing was I didn't have to guard him. I don't think I could have guarded him, but not too many guys guarded him because he perfected a shot, okay, which was a skyhook that there's probably nobody in the history of the game that has a shot like that. And I think that came early on when he went to college, because when he went to UCLA, the rules changed. He couldn't dunk. Okay, after he left college, the dunk came back on him. So he had to perfect the shot, and he was smart enough to perfect the shot that nobody in the history of the game, Will, Russell, never had a sky hook. And Kareem perfected that shot because he was limited in college. He couldn't dunk the ball.
Ready for the season? We're here at a documentary premiere, but are the Nets ready?
Oh, I'm ready. I can wait a couple of days, but you know, once it gets going, it gets hectic, and my time becomes their time, but I'm looking forward to it.
This documentary, it's about one of the all-time greats, Kareem. I'm a lifelong Lakers fan, so it's a huge thrill for me. Talk to me about the legacy of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Well, I think his legacy is not as magnified as it should, because he is arguably the greatest player to ever played. I mean, 38,000 points. And when you look at what he did with every team he went to, it went from nothing to something. I mean, he goes from college to the Milwaukee Bucks, and they become world champions in 2 years. They go from 20 wins to 56 wins. He goes from the Lakers, they're in last place, to champions ultimately. And I think that more people don't know about the prime time Kareem, when he was averaging 30-plus points and winning all those MVPs. They know him as a 37, 38, 39-year-old.
With the goggles.
But there was kind of a caddy for Magic Johnson in that group. But the reality is Kareem was a standalone champion and a standalone all-star and great player. And he came on with Magic later on to help Magic be what Magic was supposed to be. But Kareem definitely stood alone in terms of his stardom.
Well, his legacy speaks for itself. You know, he kind of transformed the big man position, the center position, and we know what he did on the court. We also have a good perspective on what he did off the court. And, you know, I think for me, being a young player and looking up to Kareem during his playing days, as well as after his playing days, what he's doing in society, you know, for me, it's just going to be exciting just to understand a little bit more about him in this documentary. He's telling his story now. You know, so many people got a chance to, you know, write about him, did films on him, and now he gets to, you know, do his own film.
One of New York's most famous sports fans, Miss Rosie Perez. We're celebrating a pretty awesome dude here tonight, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Talk to me about Kareem. What do you know? Why are you here? Everything.
Well, I know he's a legend. I know he's a philanthropist. I know he's a human rights activist. And I know he's a badass. That's what I know.
New York sports. I know you're such an enormous fan. Talk to me about New York sports. What do you love?
Oh, I love everything. You know, being from Brooklyn, everyone tells me, who do you love? You know, the Knicks or the Nets? I go both. Who do you love? The Mets or the Yankees? Both. The Jets or the Giants? Both. That's how much I love New York, and that's how much I love the athletes that represent New York City. I just love it.
Michael, you get to work with one of the greats.
How great.
And it's the first time he's ever participated in a documentary, which is even cooler when you get into the story of Kareem. Talk to me about his legacy.
Well, it just keeps growing, right? I mean, he continues to create legacy as an author, as a columnist. He's a jazz aficionado. He's really, there's almost no area where he's not an expert. Most of all basketball, right? And I think maybe when you see this film, you'll realize the accomplishments maybe go beyond what you understand and what the conversation is. I mean, this is a guy who's outscored everybody in the NBA history by about 5,000 points. He's got 6 NBA titles. He's got 6 MVPs. He's really done it all. I think people are going to revisit the legacy of Kareem after watching this film.